Hi, my name's Alvin. Today I want to talk about something, about this channel and why I'm doing this. Why bother? Why stream all this stuff? This channel for me is about game development, right? When I started doing this stuff a couple of years ago, I don't know, I probably actively started doing this 5 or 6 years ago, and I realized it's kind of hard. I'm in South Africa, and at the time when I started doing this, it was really getting a hold of good institutions and places to get an education in this stuff was hard. And I'm not talking about universities and things like that. Even internet connectivity for some people, well, still today are an issue, but for me back then was really an issue. So I really had to work hard at it. It wasn't just something that came quickly, came easily. And I'd like to just quickly talk a little bit about why I'm doing this, and a little bit about the history. So the first thing I want to talk about is where I started. If you look at some of my older stuff, it's really bad. It really is bad. And when you look at the newer stuff, you see there's a lot of improvement. And there's a reason for that. There's a very big reason for that. So I want to talk about some of the institutions that have helped me so far. The first one I want to mention is Game Institute. I would strongly recommend that anybody who wants to get into game development, especially 3D game development, running on PCs or consoles, I guess, as well. Mobiles as well, I guess. I'm just not a huge fan of mobile development at the moment. I find it's a little bit challenging staying within the memory and processing requirements, and I'd like to push the boundaries a bit more of my system and whatever system I intend this software or games to run on. Game Institute, please go check them out. If you're new at this or you're starting out, I think this is a really, really good place to start. Then they teach you everything from programming and things like that. They really have a lot of courses. The next institute that helped me fairly recently was Anim School. I did their character program, the 3D character program. The teachers that you get from this institute are truly professional. They work in the industry. They're not just guys doing this for fun or for money or whatever. They're actually working in the industry, and they're all professionals. And I'm sure a lot of them see maybe what I'm doing now, some of my games, and they might think they're not that good, and I would probably not disagree. With this stuff, time is always your enemy. The more effort you put into something, the better it's going to look, but you also have to finish the game. So I just quickly want to go through some of the tools that I use, and then I'm just going to give you a little bit of a a view into the process of typically what I go through. At the moment, this process is always evolving. The first tool I want to talk about is just quickly Maya. So I use Maya for modeling, UV mapping, rigging and skinning, and obviously then animations as well, specifically creating animations that I will then export to the game engine. And this is the first game, I'm obviously in the process of creating a game. This is the first game where I'm actually using Maya. Before that I used to use 3D Studio Max, and now I'm talking quite a few years ago. I'm not using 3D Studio Max anymore, nothing against it. I also use ZBrush for modeling. It's a great tool for modeling, and it really helped me a lot. I'm not really that good of an artist, I'll be honest. And I mean, you can see that there are guys, girls, people out there that are doing amazing work. Some of it isn't always usable in game, because it's very high poly, but a lot of it is. So there are people out there that are doing truly amazing stuff, and I'm also just learning this stuff, and I'd like people to join me on this journey. That's basically why I bother. The next tool I want to just quickly talk about is Substance Painter. Substance Painter is by Algorithmic, I think, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Also a great tool for surfacing or texturing. It's a little bit daunting to learn at first, but they have excellent documentation and tutorials, and there's plenty of tutorials out there on how to use it and so on. And so my channel isn't necessarily always going to be tutorial based. I don't do tutorials like step-by-step kind of thing. I don't think that's what my channel is about. I think it's more for people like me. They're interested in making games. They already know how to do it. They just like to maybe see how someone else is doing it. Something like that. Because I'm also always looking at how other people are doing stuff, and you have to keep on reinventing your workflow and staying up to date with technology. It's very important. Then I also use Substance Designer. That's another great tool from them, a very powerful tool. It's very similar to Unreal Engine's Material. I want to call it network or framework. I think it works pretty much the same way. It basically allows you to create shaders, and then for the game engine I'm using Unreal Engine, and I like to do a blend between C++ and Blueprints. For me, I find that's really, really flexible, and it gives me a lot of freedom. So talking between C++ and Blueprints is always a tricky thing, and I think the way that Epic Games have created this engine is just, I think it's mind-blowing what they've done, and giving us the power to use this game engine it's really amazing. I have used Unity in the past, and I must say I'm still a big fan of Unreal Engine. I think I'm going to be using that for all of my next games, which I will talk to in just a short while. One of the other tools I like to use is SpeedTree. It gives you flexibility and the ability to create awesome foliage with level of detail and all those kinds of nice things for optimizing your foliage within game. And then it obviously works really well with Unreal Engine's procedural foliage spawners, and you can also create your own instances of these meshes. So I find that's really awesome. And then obviously Unreal Engine itself is what I'm currently using. The game that I'm currently building, I mean, you can see a lot of my streams and videos there. I really find it very easy to use. I'm very impressed. So that's it, I guess, for the tools. It's just a quick high. As far as music goes, on my streams, I try and use Monster Cat, because I have they provide a service, so you can pay, and then you don't have all those long quiet moments in your stream where nothing's happening, and you don't have to worry about copyright issues. Although a lot of game music don't mind if you stream their stuff, but it's going to get to a point now in the game where I'm going to have to start putting in the game's music itself, and then that's going to start taking over the music. So I'm hoping the background's going to start changing pretty soon. As for the development schedule of the game that I'm working on right now, this Fishgibble game, the reason it's Fishgibble 2 is because the first one I feel was actually it was a failure. I didn't do it as well as I could. It was on Steam and Steam's greenlight process, and I think they just released all of the games that were in there over a specific period. And then I decided I want to release Fishgibble 2. I want to do a complete rewrite, and I want to release it as shareware. So that's the plan. I know it's not a game that anybody's really excited about. I'm doing it because I started it, and I really want to finish it. And so it's a challenge for me too. It really is. But it's fun and it's awesome. It's great learning this stuff, meeting people in the industry. I'm talking about indies and AAA. You meet really awesome people on social media and through the channel and through whatever Gmail and all that stuff. And then just quickly want to mention the streaming schedule. It's a little bit volatile at the moment. Some of my videos I don't talk a lot, I just work, and some of them I do talk. I don't always have something to talk about, so I'm just trying to work, but I'm going to try and talk a bit more while I work, just to sort of let people know what's going on, what am I thinking, why am I doing this, why am I doing that. And yeah, maybe I'll do an update again a bit closer to the release time, if that happens, when that happens. So we'll see. Thank you very much, and let's see how it goes.